One of the most important things Tesla investors have been waiting for might be starting to happen. We want to make sure Elon Musk has a new compensation package, and now there are reports that Tesla board of directors has formed a special committee to do just this. This can lead to a new stock option package offered to him, and hopefully it will also restore his compensation for his past work that was canceled by the Delaware judge. Ron Baron, billionaire Tesla investor, was interviewed recently, and he says he still loves the stock, saying he sees Tesla's profits are on the verge of going through the roof. Do not bet against Elon Musk. He seems to eventually get his impossible goals done at some point. We'll give an update on his company, The Boring Company, achieving a major milestone. Make no mistakes about it, this absolutely matters for humanity, particularly when we have self-driving cars everywhere. And joining me today is Brian White of FutureAza, traveling the world as he does. He's in Mexico now doing great work for the Tesla retail investors. Thank you so much, Brian. Appreciate you.
It is great to be here. What a crazy week it's been in the news. We've got a lot to cover, so I'm excited. Let's get into it.
I think this is one of the most important news items. We've got to talk about it, of course, which is Elon's compensation package. I think the timing is so critical. It needs to happen now before AI has already taken off, before robo-taxi, before the bots. Now, in between while it's happening. But it's great that we're finally hearing it. This is the Financial Times here. They're reporting that the Tesla board is exploring new pay deal for Elon Musk. You guys remember that in his 2018 package was struck down by this Delaware judge. And so Tesla moved from Delaware and reincorporated in Texas. And now it looks like this is happening. And this is why, by the way, we've been waiting for the proxy to drop that will then tell us when the shareholder meeting was. Alexandra Mertz was saying that last year we had the shareholder meeting in June, and that we were expecting the proxy to drop 3 weeks ago actually, didn't drop. And she was saying, well, that must mean something big is happening. The last time they delayed it, it was because a special committee was created by the board, and that's what happened. And by the way, this is the best outcome of why this proxy hasn't dropped yet. So the special committee is examining Elon's compensation, which could lead to a new stock option package being explored to him. The committee is made up of board chair Robin Denholm and Kathleen Wilson-Thompson. They're going to explore not only alternative ways to compensate him for his past work, should Tesla fail to reinstate his record 2018 pay deal, because that appeal is still happening. That appeal could be resolved by the end of this year. But if the appeal doesn't happen, there should be alternative ways, and then maybe reach out with a new comp package. So we can go into a little bit more detail of this. But Brian, why is this important, and what do you think about it?
Well, first of all of it's impossible, and the man's not worth anything. You know better. I mean, impossible. You can't change the state of incorporation. Do you know what percentage of your shareholders would have to vote to approve it? Well, turns out landslide. It's approved. It's done. Why is it important to get this done? Why is it important to get him paid? Sales are down, Herbert. Don't you know everything's falling apart? Look at how few cash registers IBM sold at the dawn of the era of computers. If you looked at just those cash register sales, you'd think this is a dying company. Except IBM knew something different. Computers are the future. And to think of IBM as a cash register company is absurd. And I'm confident that someday in our lifetime, kids will be taught the fun anecdote at school. Did you know that Tesla was originally a car company? Isn't that weird? Because, so you got to get them paid. Now, what does that compensation look like? I don't know. Are they even able to do it before the Delaware appeal is resolved? The problem is it's taking forever. We have to get it resolved at some point because time is passing. He is still working for free. We're up to 7 years of free work at this point. I'm underpaid, but even I think 0 is a little too low. So, yeah, we got to get it moving.
We got to move it. But of course, the good news is that even if it wasn't delayed, it wasn't struck down by the judge, it wouldn't have, the stock options would have come, I can't remember the words now, but until next year anyway. So there is a little bit of time before he's truly impacted by this. It's my understanding. But let's take a look at this. So Tesla and Delaware, they've been in a legal battle for 7 years, the largest pay award in U.S. history. But of course, right, if you guys remember, the pay was 0 unless he made this, it was like all contingent all contingent on market cap, on revenues, on earnings, had to hit certain milestones. And at the time, people did not think that there's no way that this company will grow that big. And of course it did. And now they're penalizing him for it. The judge in January 2024 struck it down. And then, so it looks like the 2018 package was 304 million stock options worth a potential 56 billion at the time of the initial 2024 ruling, 146 billion at their peak in December, and 98 billion at the current price. Wow.
You remember the video?
Yeah.
We saw, what was it, Ross Sorkin on CNBC laughing about it, saying this is the best deal that's ever been offered.
Yeah.
And they go, no, but it's the highest compensation plan in history. He goes, it's also the lowest.
Yeah.
No CEO accepts zero. And I've had people push back and say, well, I'll remind you that Steve Jobs took zero as well. And I say, do you have any living examples, preferably from this century? And they don't, because it's not a thing.
No thing. Okay, so here we go. Now remember that Elon said, look, he wants to have control increased, really about a quarter of the shares. He wants to have voting rights because as AI controls the humanoid bots, he wants to have a little bit of a say in that because the world can go bad. It makes sense. He started a company called XAI in 2023. Of course, now we know that XAI is valued at $125 billion. It bought X, it merged with X. I mean, it's crazy, right? We don't want Elon to leave. He can create big, giant things to happen. And we'll talk about that too. The Boring Company is now finally making huge moves too. So this is where we're at today. So it's good news. Tesla's board faces a dilemma over how to deliver more shares to Elon if the package is not restored on appeal. So reissuing the options would trigger a 50 billion plus accounting charge for Tesla and a punitive 57% tax rate for Musk, since the options would be awarded in the money, which is where we are today. So we'll see how that actually works, and we don't know all the different options. So this is we're at today. Yeah. Final thoughts about that?
I am just so glad that you have the ability to tap into Alexandra Mertz as a resource, because she knows this stuff. It's in her blood. She's been living this for probably 30 years professionally. So it is great to have resources like that who can just give you straight answers and know what's what.
Yeah, she's great for the Tesla community, and she doesn't know everything, so she studies it, number one, and then she actually has to talk to as many lawyers as she can, and so that's a lot of work here, guys. But at least we now know this is moving forward. The special committee has been formed, and this is good news. Very good news all around. Okay, so we got Ron Baron. Ron Baron, billionaire investor, billions of dollars worth of Tesla stock. A big Tesla shareholder, still loves the stock. He has advice for Elon, though. Yeah, there's no wavering in Baron Capital's founder, Ron Baron. This is Ron, of course. He's great. He really gets Tesla. He said this, if Elon was a normal person, he never would have accomplished what he has. He's one of the best business people on earth. The profits of Tesla are on the verge of going through the roof. That is so absolutely true. As we've been watching these spreadsheets, we are here in June of, coming up to June of this year, and Robotaxi will be launched. And then we're watching that what will happen to the profits once Robotaxi and the bots. I think we're going to see jumps in 2027 and another jump in 2028. I think AJ said that there's going to be a 60% jump next year, and then 4x, and then an 8x, a 4x from $2 per share to $8 per share by 2028. It is a big, big jump.
I've seen even the more down to earth bulls, the modest bears, are looking at big jumps coming up. The difference between you and me and all the analysts and Ron Baron is Ron Baron actually knows this man. He has spent a lot of time with him in one-on-one, in company building, in the early days of his businesses. And Ron can see something that a lot of people can't, that you and I try to see, but we do our best. Ron gets it. There is, everything Elon's trying to do right now is impossible. Bots, everybody's building bots. Yeah. Well, I don't know if you remember, but everyone tried to build electric cars. How'd that work out? You're not going to be able to solve this or that. Okay, well, it's been 10 years. Elon still owns the only company that reuses orbital class rockets. This is someone for whom impossible is difficult, but not impossible. And that's the critical difference. I see people saying, boy, he should have, he should have just made a compact car and sold millions of them. Sure, I guess. But if that gets in the way of what we're actually trying to do, it's counterproductive. And if that pile of $30+ billion is available next year when it's time to start deploying robo-taxis and Optimus
Robots.
at scale, it's a blank check. And you'll be glad that you didn't spend the money on something else.
Yeah. What I find about Elon, and he'll set a big goal, right? And he's on his way there. He shows the path for other companies. So we're not in any way saying that other companies can't copy and catch up and do it. It's like there are a number of electric vehicles out there, which is great. That is the purpose. But they need to do it profitably. They need to build it at scale. They need to now add autonomy to it. They need to now have robots. All these kind of things need to happen. And so then Elon is then continuing, pushing it forward to the next thing, which is, terawatt of compute. So those data centers will be the brains for both the bot and the cars. Who else is now hitting that next milestone and then the next milestone? Profits for Tesla is about to hit the roof in the next several years. Ron is already kind of saying it out loud. We're starting to see the stock move a little bit, but it may still take a couple of years for people to, finally wake up. But wake up they will when the profits start pouring in. So we're still kind of that stage where we're kind of still a car company. Now, here's Ron Baron. He did have advice for Elon, and I thought it was a very interesting comment he made, which is here. He said, when Elon broke out that chainsaw, when he's talking about fraud and abuse, he gave the wrong image of himself. I hope he starts resurrecting his image as someone who builds things. So remember that image where he came out for Doge, and he was gifted really the chainsaw, and the joke was that he's going to make cuts to the fraud and abuse of the government in the United States is experiencing. And then, but what Ron's saying, that's not the right image for you. He's not here. He doesn't do slash and burn. Of course, he cuts. He's much more of a builder. And that's why he thinks that there was this kind of negativity attached to Elon. People forget that he's building these massive things that are important for humanity, and instead are starting to focus on cutting my social security or something like that. What do you think about that comment?
I would agree that the optics were not great. If your objective is to be a builder, chopping down anything is not the right way to go. I know there are a lot of people, everyone agrees with the concept of cutting waste, fraud, and abuse. It's just the trick is, how do you do it? And that's why it's always failed in the past. And a lot of people would argue that it's failed this time as well. If there's all this fraud, they ask, why hasn't anyone been named and arrested? I don't know the answer to that. I don't know if there is an answer to that. But yeah, I would like to see his reputation as a humanitarian restored. And I don't know how to do that. I'm, looking more at the product side.
Yeah, and I think that that's what's starting to happen this weekend. Every day, at least 2 or 3, he has made in the last day, I think at least 8+ posts on Optimus. I just got like 3 more this morning, right? It just keeps coming. And he's talking about the 1 terawatt compute. He's thinking about the future again.
I did want to mention the 1 terawatt. That's insane, Herbert. No one will ever do that. That's how he thinks. The fact that it's impossible means it's going to happen. The fact that, all these things he's done, like you said at the top of the show, don't bet against Elon, or do so, but know that that it's the best way to become a millionaire, provided you started as a billionaire.
Yeah. So 1 terawatt of compute is, just to put that in perspective for folks, it's 3,333 times bigger than the largest supercomputer in the world today. That is xAI's Colossus at 300,000 H100s. This is
the entire power consumption of the United States is about 1 terawatt. So it would be doubling the power consumption of the United States in order to have us as people plus the computer.
All right, so let's take a little quick detour. I wanted to show this FSD video of why the intelligence matters. We've just seen recently Zoox, which is I reported in a previous show. I won't be able to do it here. I didn't have it ready. Zoox is one of those. I think it's owned by Amazon now. It's a autonomous vehicle that has got permits to do test drives, but they have 250 of them, and they had to update the software because it actually had an accident. And the problem with that was that these guys are loaded with LiDAR, but the car in front of it cut in front of it. And then the Zoox car, even though saw it, still hit it because it assumed it didn't have the brains to know whether or not it was going to stop or not stop, and it was going to keep moving forward, and it hit it. Same thing just happened.
Yeah. It has the perception. It lacks the intellect.
Yeah. So this is continuing to happen. I think just same thing just happened with Waymo. Now, there's just a software update, but it just shows you the difference between LiDAR, which is full of sensors, versus having intelligence, not just coded, like if this happens, do this. And so this is this video from FSD. And if you take a look at this video, why FSD was taking its corners so wide, and then you'll see why it kind of knew ahead of time it should be taking this corner wide. So this is AI driver showing you he's testing the tool, the FSD, and then he was wondering, why is it cart? Well, there you go. That's why, because it saw ahead of time that the semi was coming, and so it started to give it room before it came.
Now the question is, why didn't AI driver see it? And the answer is that truck was in his A pillar. So where your A pillar is a big blind spot where you and I can't see, but the car can. So while I've seen many people in response to this very post on X saying, oh, I would have caught that. Yes, a lot of full meat drivers wouldn't have caught this. And people saying, no, I would have caught that. Well, not if you can't see through your A pillar.
Yeah. Full meat drivers. I love it, Fred. You're hilarious. Full meat drivers. Yeah. Anyways, it's just, this is the power of AI, and, just more cameras run less. So this is just one example. There's so many of them that are out there at this point. Okay. So another big company that Elon created is called the Boring Company, and it didn't seem to be doing very much. It's going a lot slower. They remember one point they said that it was because it's dependent on regulation from cities, and that's one of the reasons. But the other thing was they were trying to reinvent how tunnels are made. And if you can reduce the cost of making tunnels, which is ridiculously expensive, then that's why you'll have more tunnels. The reason why there aren't enough tunnels. And tunnels is he believes, one of the better ways, instead of having more highways, spreading the highways on the surface, which is taking up space and ugly, build underneath. Why not? But it goes costly. Well, the Boring Company announced that they had to hit a major milestone. Again, don't bet against Elon. And the first time the Boring Company has continuously mined in a what they call 0 people in tunnel configuration. Meaning nobody needed, no humans needed. There's nobody in the machine besides the videographer, which is simultaneously advancing forward and erecting a ring, building the tunnel. Each full ring weighs 24,000 pounds. In the same way that full and rapid reusability is the holy grail for rockets, 0 person in tunnel continuous mining is the holy grail for boring machines. Now you can just do it all machine, all automated, no humans needed, and it can just move it safer, faster, least expensive architecture to build tunnels. So I'll play this. They shared this video here.
So a quiz for you, Herbert. Why is 0 people in tunnels such a good thing?
I don't know. I mean, why is it a good thing?
Think of how much your OSHA costs just went down.
Yeah. So, yeah.
All safety. I mean, the majority of the cost, the cost for human safety in a tunnel is other-earthly. You don't need necessarily fresh air. Fresh air could be something you flush in when a human has to go down there.
Gotcha. Yeah. It's just machine going underneath. And so this is like automated creating this. Here's the cool thing, right? This is actually, this boring tunnel, actually, what do they call that? A gopher? What is it? Like it's on the starts at the top of the, right? On the ground. It will dive in, create its own hole, create the tunnel, and then come out on its own.
That's fun.
You don't even have humans
Yeah.
needed to create the hole to get it going. You just like put it on top and it'll dive in on its own. So this
They're
is why
turning
this
that
matters.
road into Swiss cheese, by the way, in between SpaceX and the Boring Company, because they have a permit that allows them to dig test tunnels between the roads under the road there. So they're like, yeah, we'll just keep doing it. It's just kind of fun.
It is great. So I think, more and more municipalities will reach out. This is like, a big milestone. Hopefully it's the cost is even just unbelievably better than anything in the nil. We'll see, right? But Elon posted this saying tunnel speed is almost faster than a snail. That's a big milestone. That's what that was their goal all along, was get it as fast as a snail.
It is
It's
huge.
apparently a huge deal. Yeah.
It is impossibly fast.
And so they hit it. They got it almost faster than a snail. So that means that they're at the speed of snail. That was their big thing. That's, as always, it takes longer than you expect, but this is considered to be impossible. Now it's reality. Now here's why this matters, right? With autonomy, with robotaxi, here's what Ashok Alswamy said. He is the vice president of autonomy or AI for Tesla. He's the one that created, the full self-driving and robotaxi. He says this is going to be needed big time in the future. With autonomous vehicles, we'll have affordable premium transport for everyone. This will likely increase traffic due to increased usage, even though each vehicle is much more efficiently utilized. So, right, you have less cars, but they're going to be used so much more because people will it's free, right? It's like low cost, get in a car, drive. People will use it more. These cars will be driving around. In fact, it will be increased traffic, not reduced traffic. So if that's the case, you still need to have all these. And if we had autonomous cars, plus you had boring tunnels for driving, wow, imagine what would happen to the service streets. More room for houses and more room for parks and trees. And you don't need to have, cities should not be built for cars. Cities should be built for people. Elon said true.
I will tell you, the thing in Shanghai that's changed from 20, 25 years ago is they went from having 0 subway lines to 2 to now over a dozen. Mm-hmm. And the streets are less chaotic. All the traffic is underground in a tube in a very efficient way. And it's freed the streets up. There are more streets that are now closed to traffic, pedestrian only. There's more, it's just quieter, it's better. So increasing the amount of people moving doesn't have to increase traffic and misery.
Yeah. You were just in China. And again, when the government decides to make something change, they can make it change for the good or better or worse. But boy, if they have the tech, then you can actually accomplish things you want to do. Just a few more details about what the Boring Company's tunneling machine can do. And it's called Proof Rock. Proof Rock, that's the name that they call it. The newest invention is called Proof Rock, is a tunneling robot that purposes, right, meaning it launches straight from the surface, digs underground, then resurfaces without needing giant pits. It can start tunneling within 48 hours of arriving, and it covers 1 mile per week. That's 6 times faster than the last model, though it's still slower than a snail, but not for long. That's where Elon replied saying, actually is as fast as a snail at this point. So they have accomplished their goals. And this is going to change humanity.
So if you want to do that 100 miles of tunnel in Vegas, the reason it's going so slow right now is because they've been waiting for the technology to catch up. They could have put a dozen Proof Rock 2s down there, but the Proof Rock 4 is one that can move so quickly compared to the old ones that
just wait
it's
for
ridiculous. Just wait for it. And that's what we're
going
to see is
the next goal is to beat 1/10 of human walking speed, 7 miles per day. Together, it mines continuously, installs tunnel walls on the go, and uses rubber wheels instead of old school rails. It's all electric, cleaner than diesel machines, and the dirt it digs up, it might become bricks or park paths. Oh, so that's what happens to the dirt that it builds up. They can reuse that for bricks or paths for parks. Isn't that great? They reuse everything.
I don't think they'll be reusing the bricks. I know that's one of the original intentions, but it's filled with industrial lubricant, and I don't know how you can safely and legally use that as a building material. but we'll see.
You know so much, Brian. Appreciate that. But here we go, right? Here's Elon accomplishing things. Every one of his companies seems to be improving. Neuralink is now next solving blindness after they've solved telepathy, or they're expanding patients using telepathy, allowing paraplegics to move or to actually control computers. And then soon, eventually, they'll connect the robot arms to that. I mean, it's just crazy. You got the Boring Company. You got XAI and X. He revived X. It's now bought by XAI.
And I will tell you, the hate towards Tesla, fine. The hate towards SpaceX, pretty silly. But the hate towards Neuralink upsets me. Well, I'll never get one. Great. It's not for you. Unless you need your mobility restored or your ability to communicate or see restored, this product's not for you. Why would you want to take it away from people who actually need it? The hate needs to calm down a bit.
Yeah, that's a good point. So hopefully we can reframe the narrative again for Elon, away from cutting and impacting the political side of it. And hopefully he'll get back to talking about the future, talking about achievements, things that are important for technology. And that's where we're starting to hear back. This week was fantastic to hear the Optimus bots. June's coming up with Robotaxi. Then you've got all these other companies still continue to do great things. Thank you, Brian. That was fun. Appreciate you. Your knowledge is always so wide and breadth deep. Thank you very much, Brian. Follow him. Check out his channel. My gosh, you've been knocking out of the park. You've been traveling. You were just in China. You did a number of videos on the Chinese vehicles, the dealerships, the factories. You've covered it all there. And now you're in Mexico. What are you doing in Mexico?
I'm checking out a number of the Chinese cars that I didn't get a chance to see in China, ones that are available for the North American market, not in the US, and also a car company here called Zakua, who makes electric cars just 2 hours from here in Mexico, though not very many yet, but we'll see.
Thank you, Brian. Talk to you soon. Bye, all. I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com.